Hey guys, Chad Corbett, co-founder and trainer, and wear many other hats here at All the Leads. This is part of our Ask an Expert series, and we've tried this on the Mastermind Call in the past, but I wanted to do kind of a video interview with my friend Daniel. He is really the expert and the authority in the real estate space for virtual assistants. And as much as I hate to admit it, when we started All the Leads, I really thought that we could take the system we created and the teaching that we have and make anyone successful. Unfortunately, that's not actually the truth. We do have people fail, people quit. A lot of them come back. But I hate that we have people that do invest money and don't see a return. So I'm always looking like, what's the common denominator? Why are people quitting? Why do people go away? And one is we don't require contracts, as you know, so it's easy to go on pause and come back later. But the common denominator to people who do go on hold or quit is they're overwhelmed. So they bite off a county with 200-300 leads. Even though that we have a system for this, they don't have systems in place throughout their overall business. So they end up getting overwhelmed and just kind of throw their hands up and they're like, I can't do it all. And oftentimes they come back, but sometimes they don't. And for me, like the content like this on our blog, for me, it's really about how can I help you throughout your whole business, not just with what we are providing you with a probate list. So Daniel is a friend of mine and really the authority in the real estate space. He's got some stuff that he'll share that'll there's no way that I could ever explain this as well as he can. So Daniel, welcome to All the Leads.
Thanks, brother. I'm excited to be here. And if you're listening, I want to assure you this conversation is meant to be 100% value. Whether you're a top team, a brand new person, or you're about to build a team. So I'm just going to launch right in, man. And we're going to start rocking and rolling for you guys. And Chad, if you want to ask a question as we're going through this, like just fire away. But first, one thing is I own a company called MyOutDesk. And over the years, we've had over 5,000 clients and we're 12 years old. So we're kind of like All the Leads. We've been here forever. And one of the cool things is we out of the top 100 teams in the US and Canada, we have clients, 36 of them use our virtual assistants. So there's a clear, correlation between large successful teams having assistants. And that's the link that we're going to do today. And we're going to kind of talk through how to do it the right way versus how you can kind of screw it up and really lose money. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. So the problem or the concern, right, for all business owners is like, do I actually have a business or am I just a highly compensated employee? Because, the mass majority of businesses are under $1 million in revenue. That means like 96% of businesses out there make less than $1 million in total revenue. And here's a weird stat, Chad, you'll love. 60% of all small businesses out there in the US report zero income. So for those folks that are making below $1 million, it's more likely that you're not making any money versus you are making money. And then it drops to 4% are between $1 million and 10 million. And then 0.4% get over 10 and only 17,000 out of 28 million. And so we're going to talk through today, what differentiates those different tiers. So we have this process called the 7-figure business roadmap. And you can kind of see that in business, there are 3 major stages. We call the first stage the I do it stage. And that's where you're doing everything. You're wearing all the hats, you're servicing listings and you're helping buyers and you're the one building out your website and you're the one doing your transaction coordination. And the thing is, we've got this great stat here, 82% of all licensed realtors are actually in that space.
Of course, none on this call, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, dude, you and I both, we love real estate. Here's the thing. If you stick in this I do it space, lots of cash, man. You don't have to have employees. You don't have to worry about spending a ton of money. Real estate is a highly profitable, very fun, if you want to do your own thing, stick in this I do it space, like that's just it. There's a lot of money in it. But we have Steve Murray here, and we had him on, I don't know, a couple months ago, talking about valuing a real estate practice. Because this guy, he's helped 736 real estate brokerages and teams actually sell. So he's got to look in the financials and the systems, and what he said is the difference between netting a ton of money and a little bit of money is the processes and systems that are in place. So if you want a high multiple, have a lot of good systems and a lot of good processes. And in the we do it stage, that's the differentiator. And so about 17% of the market of the licensed real estate folks are in the we do it, meaning they're running teams, they've got an assistant, one or two, and they're just they're highly profitable, but small, very connected team. Now, if you want to go to the next stage, and this is the 1%, right? These are the folks, Chad, that we were talking about that are making more than $1 million. They have large teams, and the owner is squarely focused on people and vision. You guys can kind of see this bottom line here. These are all the things that matter in those different particular stages. And so this is what we call the 7-figure business roadmap. It's what every business entrepreneur has to go through to figure out, how do I build a team? How do I build a business and make it valuable? Does any of this make sense, Chad?
Yeah, it's all clear. I've lived through it all. I don't know that I've ever gotten to they do it like completely, but I've certainly see the value and the difference between I do it and we do it. And I think that's where, 99% of the nation is there, but probably the people on this call too. We have a mix. We have a couple of like mega team owners that, that are doing over 1,000 units a year, but that's a rare, really, I think
the 1%. It's the 1%
people that will get the most value from this are, if you're an agent, if you're doing 20 to 40 transactions a year, that seems to be, for me at least, that was like the chaotic storm of business. Like when the biggest thing, like one of the, I was challenged to go hire my first assistant. And it was one of the scariest things I'd ever done. But I was processing 14 deals a month all by myself, which with 12 hours of prospecting in there. So the transaction management was eating me alive. Yeah. And when I finally got the courage to go hire an assistant, all of a sudden I had like an extra 50 hours a week. And guess what? Like I got like my goal was a minimum 3-to-1 return on her salary. And I got way more than that. But more importantly, I got my life back. Like I trained her her first day live on her own. I got onto a plane and went into the Canadian backcountry for 18 days. And we had, I think, 18 deals in escrow. And I would have never been able to take that trip had I not had the courage to hire her. But I think if you're in that 20 to 40 transaction range and you're still on your own, you are a virtual assistant. That was something it was hard for me to, I guess it was a hard lesson for me to learn, but it was one of the best things I ever did.
Well, what's interesting is you paint a good picture. And if you're listening to this right now, this is the mindset that I'd like you to kind of adopt. There are certain things that Chad and Daniel and you on this call can only do. They're the things that nobody else can replace. Even in the they do it, the owner is still doing things, and they're doing the things that only they can do. For me, it's like this call. Like nobody's lived your life, Chad. Nobody has the stories that you have. So these are the things you got to focus on, the things that only you can do, and then get everything else off of your plate so you can really grow your business. So let's keep rolling. So again, my name is Daniel Ramsey. I'm the founder and CEO of MyOutDesk. I'm a real estate broker like Chad, and hired my first assistant, had the same experience. And what happened is eventually, I found this concept of virtual assistants back in literally April of 2008. So we're literally 12 years old now. And what happened is I just needed help, probably like the people on this call. But us real estate people, we're stubborn. See, if you look here at this slide, on the left-hand side, all of these are major, Fortune 500 companies, and the mass majority of them have huge teams offshore, meaning they have a big amount of staff in other countries to take advantage of the reduced cost, specialization, and basically just to make a more profitable business. But us real estate people, we're slow. We don't adopt. So, if you're thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, like, it is a possibility to have what we call a blended model, where some of your people are in the US and some of your people are virtual in the rest of the world, where you can take advantage of lower costs and very specialized roles. So these stats here, again, 82% of people have no assistants, 15% have one, and only 3% have two assistants and more. So you can kind of see this is what real estate looks like versus what Fortune 500 teams work like. So Chad, one of my favorite questions is our next slide. So how do I determine what it is I'm actually going to outsource or give to a virtual assistant? And we have this awesome thing called the sticky challenge, right? So if you're in that space where you're like, God, what Daniel's talking about is like super good, and I know, but I'm just not sure what I can give to somebody, and I don't know how. Don't stress out. We're going to go over that. And this is the first step. So take out a stack of stickies. And what you do is for 2 weeks, you just follow yourself around. You literally write down what you're doing at every single moment of the day. And then at some point, and you know what, I'm just going to do this because I'm crazy. I'm going to stop the share. So check out, Chad, this is my office, and you can kind of see on the wall. I do a sticky challenge every couple of months just to kind of make sure that I'm in that like dollar productive world, right? Because we get sideways as owners and as entrepreneurs, So I'm tracking with the sticky challenge. I'm tracking what I'm doing and whether it's dollar productive or non-dollar productive. Every single hour, every single minute, and then I categorize them, and then I calendar them by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I look at what the percentage of my day looks like that's actually doing stuff to grow my business.
So I want to interject, and that's cool that you have like a tangible exercise for that. I'm big on accountability charts, and when in Probate Mastery, like our high level training, I teach people write down every single process you can think of on the listing side of the business, and then put a name in the box. And if you're by yourself, your name's in all those boxes. Your goal is to get your name out of any box that's not fun for you. So, back to stoicism, what would it look like if it were fun and easy? Yeah. And for me, that's kind of my litmus test. Like the reason we're doing this right now is because I love doing that. I love finding people like you and sharing that with the world. Because like you and I can talk all day long, but if we don't capture this, it's limited value to the world. So this is a part of business that I really love. There's other things that I could be doing right now, but I'm not because I don't love it. Right? Yeah. So also think about it from a lifestyle standpoint. That's the mistake I see so many real estate professionals make. And my friend just got out of the hospital. Luckily, he survived, but he ended up with like an unquantifiable amount of gallstones and a clogged bile duct, and it almost killed him. Yeah. And it's because he's working 80 to 100 hours a week in his real estate business. He's doing association management and brokerage. And I'm like, dude, you got to let off the gas. Like you need to look at what you really like and what you really want from this and make some changes. And I see so many real estate agents and it's admirable that tenacity is admirable, but to a point. And at some point you're sacrificing memories with your kids, time with your spouse, like all these other things. So what you leave on your plate, even if you delegate a lot, the first thing you should delegate is what you don't like. And if you don't like meeting with prospects and phone prospecting in real estate, you might want to look outside of this industry. But hopefully that's the part you're good at and the part that you like. It's not to say you can't outsource that, but until you get to a team level, you're going to have to learn that, right? So, yeah. But the things like the most common one is transaction management, or like transaction coordination. I mean, if you write a good system and have it in place, you can hand it to a good critical thinker, and they can completely take you out of transaction management in your business, like anything that's not licensed activity. And that's the one place where I see most realtors could gain back probably 40% of their time if they would quit processing their own damn deals. And it's not bad customer service to not be there every step of the way. You sit down, you set the expectation in the beginning. You say, I have a wonderful team, and as soon as we have a ratified purchase agreement, I'm going to turn you over to my team. And every day I'll be checking on your file, but no news is good news. I'll see you at the closing table. And that's how I did every closing. The day I hired Stacy was the last time I dealt with the minutia of contract, like of transaction management. So that's probably a good starting point for most people on this call. Like, if you had that 20 hours a week back from transaction management, what would you do with it? Like, would you have more time to focus on your probate campaign, your FSBO, your expired, your sphere of influence, whatever it is?
Right.
Just gaining that 20 hours back in your business it can double your revenue. And as long as you're making smart decisions and you hire right, your net is going to be way higher too. But think about who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live as you're going through this exercise. Not only is it dollar productive, is it what I like to do?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In fact, my next slide actually kind of ties in with that. What's cool about the next slide is I'm going to share with you guys. So Albert Einstein said this concept, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pay it. Well, we've coined this concept of compound leverage, where if you train somebody the right way, and if you hand them a system and a process to do it in, and they're great and highly talented people, you can give away that transaction management, for instance. You can give that away for the rest of your career. Well, what do? You focus on driving revenue for your business. And once you've given that task away, it's like compound leverage. You get that time back for the rest of your career. And the challenge is most people don't know, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to train somebody? What am I going to do with them? How do I get them up to speed? What if they're not good? Like all those, talent concerns. You had them before you hired Stacy. The reality is, if you intend on going from the I do it to the we do it, you got to just jump in. And a company like ours, MyOutDesk, we help you focus and show you a system to put somebody inside of, so you are less likely to fail.
So Daniel, I want to jump in here.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to hire and train an assistant when I hired Stacy.
Yep.
What I knew when I needed her before I even put the job posting out. So in my day-to-day business, if I had to write an offer, I would just fire up QuickTime and do a screen recording of me in zip forms, pulling down the purchase agreement and any of the addendums that I needed. Yep. And then I would upload it to YouTube as a private video, and I would put it in the training playlist. So for about 60 to 90 days, that's probably not true, 45 to 60 days, a few weeks before I hired an assistant. And while she was moving from Midwest out here to Virginia, I had time to do that. And I just simply, and really, I'll say, if you struggle with this, if you don't have the systems mindset and business seems like chaos, the best book I can possibly recommend is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but it's the simplest message, but it's so impactful. And what he talks about is a franchise prototype. So if you approach, there's literally a Word document or a spreadsheet for every idea that I have. I immediately write something. And it's just capturing the first thought. If I can just capture that, then I can build on it later. So everything you're doing in your business, you have a process. It might not be well documented and it might not be consistent, and that's where the struggle and chaos comes from. But it can be as simple as pull out a Word document and start writing. Why are we doing this? What can we do better? Who are we trying to serve? Just question forms. And I built all the leads is heavily influenced by my personal systems and my real estate team. And it was all built off of a blank Word document that the first question at the very top was, why am I doing this? And it was, there's 1,014 ways to make money in real estate. Why do I want to go to the courthouse, pull leads, help families in probate, and deal with prospecting that I don't have anyone to train me? I just have to figure it out. And for me, my why was strong enough. Like the rest of that document was easy to fill out, right? But read the E-Myth Revisited. It's a great audiobook. Michael Gerber he self-narrates, and he's got that late night DJ voice. But anyways, that book will help you kind of get in the mindset of everything in your business is a system already. Now, it could be a chaotic, sloppy, terrible system, but it's still a system. And each day, as you again, compounding, like every day that you document and improve each layer of each of those systems, the easier life and business becomes.
Yep.
So I started doing that weeks before Stacy started. I would do a screen capture, a screen video. I would upload it to YouTube, and then I would take the YouTube link and put it in her calendar. I set up a Gmail account for her, put it in her calendar. So for the first 2 weeks that she worked for me, we talked in the morning for a morning huddle, and at 5 o'clock for a debrief. Otherwise, her calendar popped up and said, "Hey, Stacy, this is time for contract training." And she would click, and she would watch videos of me going through contracts.
Right.
So, and it's not to say you have to do that, but anything you can document in your business is going to be easier to delegate later. And even if you're by yourself and you can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel, you should be documenting processes. Like, what if you won a trip around the world and $1 million, but you wanted your business to be here when you got back? Like something really positive like that. What would you do? How would your business run without you? Start thinking a lot, like try to get in that mindset each morning, and you'll see opportunities to capture that and be like, oh, here's how we do this. Here's how we should do that. But when you go to delegate, it's going to really, really help you get that person up to speed quickly, and it'll be a more successful hire. So,
and we're basically at the end of the slide share. This one is basically what we help people do. And so, the administrative stuff, we've talked a little bit about that: transaction management, listing management, organizing your P&Ls, like getting project management, organizing your sphere of influence inside of your database. That's all the admin side. We help people with marketing stuff, whether it's design or coordination or social. We also have a bunch of people that are prospecting. So about 500 to 600 people are on the phone every single day, pounding the phone for our clients. You mentioned earlier, like, I hope you like it in the real estate base. I personally like an ISA on a team, but I want you to be already successful in that lead source, already have the scripts, and already have the value proposition down pat, so you can help somebody else be successful too. So that's important. And then just the transaction coordination. These are the 4 areas that we help people, kind of outsource and get some of their time back. And when you hire us, what we're doing is we're going to choose one of these 4 things. We're either going to increase your revenue, we're going to look to save you money or reduce your costs, and then we're looking to save you time. Like, I'd like to have a life, and instead of working 70, 80 hours, like, I'd like to work 40 or 50 or maybe 60, or maybe provide your clients a better level of service. If you're like me, I was always in the field taking, listing appointments or going to a project or closing on an investment or doing something. And so when a client called, I was like, I'm with somebody, I can't talk to you. But my virtual assistant was always there, always available to help. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So part of the thing that we do, we're almost done here. We pre-screen them. We do all the work of actually finding somebody who's awesome to help you grow your business. So over 20,000 applicants last year. We did 8,000 initial interviews, 3,000 final. We had 1,600 people go through our training process to endorse 500 people to clients. So you kind of see how much work we put into this process before you even get to interview and hire. We also, to kind of protect everybody, we do an FBI grade background checks, we do employment checks, we do a personality profile, education checks. And what we're trying to do is look, you need help. we need to find a person who has the skill set, and we want to create a long-term match. So that's the whole process. We have some of the best people in the industry who endorse our services and love working with MyOutDesk. I mean, this guy is the #1 real estate guy by volume in the world, Mark Spain, and he's got a team.
He's in Raleigh, right?
He's not in Raleigh. He's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta.
So, you know, I gotta visit his team, and, you know, he leases an entire floor and has multiple different spots. And Gary Keller did an interview with us, and, you know, he in his book, you know, Millionaire Real Estate, he talked about, you know, it's hard to go from an I to a we. And it's like, if you went to school and got a high school degree, that's like learning how to do the I do it. And if you want to build a team, it's like going to college and getting a doctorate and a master all at once. And then, you know, Tom Ferry is a great example. He stands on stage and says, if you don't have a virtual assistant, then you are one. And so these are just some of the examples of folks that love our service, use our service, and really endorse the concept of a blended market. Dude, that's it, man. We just did it.
No, it's not. I have questions.
Okay.
So I want to hear some stories, and I know you got them. Like, I would like to hear one of your toughest closes, like an agent or a broker that didn't think they needed your help. You talked them into it, and it changed their business. I know you have that story.
Yeah, you know.
And I'm putting him on the spot, by the way, guys. We didn't talk about this before. So if he doesn't, it's going to be embarrassing.
No, it's good because I have so many, and so I have to think about it. Like, one of my favorites is, I've got a good friend named Saul Z in Chicago, and I've known him for a decade, right? And he and I used to run in the REO space, because I'm a real estate broker. So if you're listening to this and you're either an investor, REO guy, retail guy, like, I've lived your space. I every single time there's an open house in my neighborhood, I stop. It drives my wife crazy because I just love real estate, right? But Salzi and I were friends, right? And he always kind of gave me the Heisman. He put his hands up and was like, no, you know, like, I don't want your virtual assistants. I've got a team, you know, and it was cool because about 3 years ago, he was like, okay, Ramsey, I'm going to try it. And I said, are you sure? I mean, because I know you've had this aversion, and, you know, his wife knows my wife, and he's in Chicago, and our kids play, and I didn't want any of that. You know, I was like, I don't want any of that. You've always said no to me, you know, and I don't want to. But anyways, so he gets on the interview and he goes, I can't believe the quality of your people. And I'm like, I've been telling you for 10 years, you know? And so we help him in the transaction coordination. We prospect the heck out of the Chicago area for him. And he has like a flip side of his business too. So he buys and he flips. So we help him with the project management, keeping track of his finances. And, you know, this guy's a big dude. I mean, this guy is he's not like top 1%, but he's top 1 or 2%. Like, he's got a big team and owns his own brokerage and a really successful guy. And so I think what I would like you guys to hear is just call us. Like, call us. Because in this call, I'm like, Chad, if we can't help you, no big deal. But you will walk away. Here's what you walk away with when you do a call with MyOutDesk. So first, we talk about how you generate revenue. Like, hands down, that's the first question. What are your lead sources? Are you doing probate? Are you doing investors, absentees? Like, do you have a sphere of influence? How much money are you spending? Where are you getting the leads? What are you doing with them? So we're going to look at your lead sources. Then we're going to look at what your systems and processes are right now. What do you have documented? What do you got? What are you doing? Is it complete chaos, or do you have some systems in place? And then this is the best part. We're going to do an org chart with you. Here's my current org chart. Here are all the boxes, like you said, all the boxes that I have to fill. And what's my org chart of the future? Meaning, if I envision myself growing my team, who am I going to need in order to double my business? And so all of that, when I first started out in business, I paid a coach like $5,000 a month to get that kind of coaching. And we give it away for completely free. Future org chart, lead sources, and the systems and process. And then we may or may not be a fit. Like, that's the just simple truth. But we're going to help you discover whether or not you need and could get a return on investment with a virtual assistant or not?
I would say, I don't know that it's a perfect 50-50 blend, but there are a lot of investors watching this as well
Yeah.
as people in brokerage.
Yep.
And actually, the first place I ever heard about MyOutDesk was probably in 2011.
Yeah.
And it was maybe on Bigger Pockets or maybe on a podcast. It could have been Joe McCall. I used to listen to his podcast. Anyways, it was when I was coming from like the world of resort development into investment, and I was just drinking from a
Yeah.
fire. I was reading and consuming everything I could, and I heard about MyOutDesk then.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to hire my assistant locally so I could have her do the things that I didn't like doing locally, like putting
Yeah.
lock boxes on, meeting photographers, meeting for inspections. And
Yep.
I needed someone that could take me out of
Physically
that.
there. Yeah.
I didn't want to be doing that.
Yep.
So it wasn't a fit for me. But we have a team of 30 right now in all the leads. I'm in Virginia, they're in Florida.
Yeah.
And our sales team is spread across 3 different states. So we pretty much work in a virtual environment now. So it certainly can be done. It was just for me in that stage of my business, I wanted somebody local. But so what would you say, to an investor who's watching this, maybe thinking, well, they keep talking about brokerage, they're talking about listings and this and that. You guys have experience working in the investor space, right? And what would you say as a percentage, what do you think the blend of your business is for brokerage versus investors?
Yeah, I'd probably say we have between 50 and 100, investor clients, and we service that market. Here's the thing. I'm a developer contractor. I literally am a licensed contractor, developer, real estate broker. I used to be a mortgage guy.
You're a hairdresser too, right?
Yeah, and I do some dancing on the side. I'm just kidding. But here's the thing: all real estate, regardless of what you're doing, whether you're an investor, it's all about finding deals and then processing those deals. And it's about keeping your revenue high, your expenses low, and getting profit. Whatever it is. So we got a ton of the number one wholesaler, Brad. You know the guy, Brad Chandler out of Arizona. He's got like 12 of our folks. And he's a perfect example of our folks are calling for him. Our folks are helping him negotiate and organize contractors. Our folks are just running every aspect of his business. But again, it always goes back to what's the highest dollar productive activity that I should be doing? And then what am I actually doing? And then what should I get off my plate so I can go to the gym, see my family, maybe go on vacation, not have those ups and downs of valleys in my real estate revenue. Whether you're an investor or an agent, broker, mortgage guy, insurance broker, entrepreneurs suffer from these ups and downs. And those ups and downs can actually be flattened. You can actually cause revenue to happen every single month like clockwork when you put a revenue generating system, and when you put that in place and then you hire leverage and you build a team. All of that is a possibility because we know 1% of the market is actually doing it.
So let's talk about the role of MyOutDesk. Once you onboarded somebody, once they've said, yeah, this is for me, let's do it. We need to hire 2 assistants. On an ongoing basis, I kind of see you guys as almost like an ops manager, where you have a relationship with the employee, with the virtual assistant, and you have a relationship with the realtor or the investor.
Yep.
And if you've ever read any of Gino Wickman's stuff like Traction,
so
you're almost taking that integrator role in his terminology. It's almost like MyOutDesk becomes the integrator, so you understand the vision and you understand the day-to-day obligations and you keep it on track. Is that a fair analogy?
Sort of. The integrator is a partner to the owner. How I would position our company, right, is we are a consulting company / staffing company for the real estate industry to help you get rid of some of the lowest paying tasks on your plate. So what we'll do is we got somebody, we got an ambulance behind us, but what we'll do is we'll work to help you figure out what you should get rid of. We'll put a system and process in place for onboarding your person. So I love your video stuff. Play, pause, do. That's what we call that, where you create videos. So we'll help you define what that looks like, get the right order. And what we're doing is we're getting rid of that turnover. Like when you hire and you don't know how to hire, you're just going to hire and fire, and it's going to feel like deflection to your business. It's going to feel like a waste of your time. It's going to feel like you're not getting anywhere, that you're a failure, all that. We're getting rid of all of that by setting you up for success. And people are like, well, you know, how do you do that? Call us. We'll walk you through it. It'll be based on your individual needs, based on your individual business and your individual systems. I mean, we talk to people all the day long who, I have a CRM, but I've never logged in. Well, the sphere of influence and your CRM, it's 70% of all real estate transactions happen in that world, whether you're an investor or not. So that's a pretty important part of a business, right? So whatever it is, we're gonna figure out how we can add value. And if we can't, then no big deal. If we can, then, you know, we'll help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, anything else, Daniel? Anything that we should have covered?
I love it. Anything else? One thing that I would look, the reality is a lot of times you already know what you need to do. In fact, I want you to hear this. We call it a double my business strategy call, but I always reflect the question back to somebody. Like, we'll get in there, we'll look at the lead sources, we'll look at the systems and process, we'll look on whose team, and then I'm going to ask you, I'm going to like, okay, you already know what you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing. So what is the one thing that you need to do in order to have your business double? And 9 times out of 10, the people on the call are like, well, I need to do this. I just haven't because I don't have any time, or, you know, they have a lot of reasons they haven't. And what happens in that call is clarity and focus happens. And then you're like, I know exactly where I need to go and how to get there now. I just have to go and execute. And that's what we want for people.
Yeah. Awesome. So guys, again, this is part of a series where we find the utmost experts in the country. So I'm guessing if you've made it this far, you definitely want to talk to Daniel. So let's ask him how you can get a hold of him. Phone number, social media. What's the best way for them to catch up with you?
Yeah, just jump on our website, MyOutDesk.com. We have tons of blogs, YouTube, Facebook. Just come ask for a consultation. Again, it's no obligation. You have nothing to lose. I mean, really, the only thing you could lose is 20 or 30 minutes of your time. And if you walk away with something valuable, then it's a win for everybody. But yeah, just request a consultation. That's the best way to do it, and to figure out if this is a positive win for you, or if it was just, you know, nice to meet you, Daniel. It's been fun. You know, it can be a win-win, or it could be I learned something and this isn't for me.
Yeah, and I think we have a PDF that we're going to drop in the blog below the video, right?
Yeah, so we've got the VA hiring guide. So everything that you need to know about hiring a virtual assistant, every single thing. And we'll give that to your folks for free. And then the leverage inventory conversation, the sticky challenge, we'll just throw that in so that the people who are thinking about and need a little guide, it's like a 2-3 page guide that has some examples in there. So anybody who's thinking about doing this can kind of do some homework up front before they do a consultation, and then you'll be set to get the most valuable or most value out of the time together.
Cool. So guys, look below for the links for the download of that PDF. If you got value from this, if you find these valuable, make sure you subscribe to our blog and also to our YouTube channel. So when we find other people like Daniel, and I may even bring you into a panel later.
Okay.
You know what? We should get Amucha Stagey on here and do a panel. Like, he can tell us, you know about Jarvis, right?
Yeah. He's got a great system.
Some people hire Daniel's VAs. Our friend Aaron just built his own Jarvis. So anyways, thank you so much for your time. You guys, if you have any questions, you can click the link below to find Daniel at over at MyOutDesk. And hopefully you got value from this. Leave some comments so we know what we can be doing better next time. And Daniel, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Chad, for your time.